At number 2 on my anime list, this show is a lot more popular than I would have thought. It's not a bad series. I rewatched the entire first season just for this video, and there are a lot of really compelling elements in it. But the anime never gripped me the way it did for so many others. Frankly, I just found it too depressing. Characters are constantly dying and getting replaced by other characters who then also die and get replaced. Titans seem to spring out of nowhere, like monsters in a horror movie. There's a lot of panicking, lots of mistakes being made. Each time things seem to be going well for our heroes, something cataclysmic befalls them. It's a very stressful show to watch. After season 1, I kept telling myself I'd continue the series, but I never did. Armin's final words didn't leave me with a lot of optimism.
Sadly, however, it would take a far longer time and cost a great many more lives for humanity to discover the true nature of what it held captive.
For that reason, as well as the fact that my anime list specifically ranks anime popularity by season, this video won't cover anything beyond episode 25. There's also the matter of neither the anime or manga having ended yet, so either way, it still wouldn't be complete. Apparently the manga is wrapping up this year though, and the final season of the anime starts in December. Kind of one of the reasons I wanted to make this video ASAP, to leech off of all that fresh Attack on Titan traffic. More people are going to be searching for the series, which means I've got a pretty good chance of tricking some of them into watching my video. How else am I supposed to succeed here? Through my personality? Now I'm sad. Excuse me while I cry into my pillow and... In spite of my discomfort with this show, I still think the series is brilliant for how uniquely human everything feels. Characters feel real. They're dynamic, flawed, full of contradictions, and this is all established very early on.
Hey, I'm a trained soldier. My skill set is killing Titans and saving lives!
No, wait! Don't do this, please! No! What are you doing? Put me down, you bastard!
Even Eren's mom, after insisting they leave her behind, falters when she's alone. She doesn't want to die.
Don't leave me.
These sorts of reactions add to the humanity of our characters. They're swayed by their emotions. What they do and think don't always align with their stated goals. And this is something that carries forward throughout the anime. People aren't always who they claim or even believe themselves to be. Not everything is going to go according to plan, which makes the narrative that much less predictable. It's hard to gauge what's going to happen next, outside of more bodies inevitably piling up. They lose far more than they win.
Tell me my son stood his ground to the bitter end, that his death meant something! Tell me his sacrifice gave us a better chance!
The day was lost! We have nothing! Your son died because of me! I sent him to his death!
Focusing in on a protagonist, Eren is unusual from the start. When he's 10, even before the Titans attack, he wants to join the Scouts. He views the city walls as more of a prison than any sort of protection.
I know it's ugly out there. I know there's death around every corner. But we can't just give up on it. 'Cause otherwise this nightmare's never gonna end! We live in a cage. All we do is eat and sleep. That's it. We have the peace of mind of livestock.
He doesn't want to live life as a sheep. He wants to turn the tides, become the predator. Heck, his last name is Jaeger, a German word for hunter. It's a term repeated throughout the opening theme. Sure, others may heed the call, but Eren is born to it. It's a part of his identity, foreshadowing his later transformation into the ultimate Titan-killing machine, the perfect hunter. But it isn't an easy journey for him. Like most of the other characters, Eren fails constantly. In this first episode, he's unable to protect his mom. Later on, he manages to save Armin. Sort of. But the rest of his group is killed. In episode 21, he confronts Annie in her Titan form and is decapitated. Even when he does defeat her in the season finale, he gains no new information from the encounter. Annie cocoons herself in a crystal coffin as a last line of defense. Humanity ends up sacrificing hundreds, perhaps thousands of lives for a mission that essentially goes nowhere. Failure is a big part of this show, so much so that it wouldn't be completely crazy if Eren himself were to die. After all, the story narrator is Armin, not our current protagonist. That's why when Eren gets eaten by a Titan in episode 5, I genuinely thought there was a possibility he was actually gone. But that's the great thing about having strong supporting characters. Even if the protagonists were killed off, there are others who could still continue the story. Mikasa, for example. She's a very capable character whose loyalty to Eren could certainly lead her down a path of vengeance similar to what we've already seen from him. In fact, the end theme is almost entirely focused on her, furthering this idea that she's meant to finish what he begins. It's actually a kind of confusing way to end the episode. I don't know why the end credits focus so heavily on Mikasa's tragic backstory. She isn't the main character, so it feels out of place, unless she becomes the protagonist later on. What if she eventually learns to turn into a Titan herself? One of the creatures in the beginning does vaguely resemble her. Could also be a POV thing, meant to show us Mikasa's despair prior to meeting Eren, and just as he saved her before, the implication is that he's destined to save humanity as well. Eventually.
Well, I dare say it looks like our boy's in control of himself this time.
Whoops. The opening credits have more to them, but they're also easier to interpret. Besides the hunter thing, it's all pretty straightforward. Lots of imagery from later episodes. Eren attacking the Colossal. A squad baiting Titans into attacking them so others can strike them from behind. The praying mantis from Mikasa's childhood. Characters that haven't appeared yet making brief cameos. Hundreds of soldiers leaping into the air in unison and shooting through the sky for seemingly no reason. I don't recall seeing that last one happen yet. We even get a snapshot of a Titan eating Eren while Armin watches. It's certainly nothing that would spoil events for viewers on a first pass, but pretty obvious afterwards. Can't say the same about some of these other manga panels. Some are really hard to see. More imagery can also be found in Eren's dream. These scouts, they must have just died beyond the wall, as we saw them moving through the forest moments earlier. This female Titan appears to be Annie. These dolls are, well, I don't know. Why are they here? But this moment is definitely a premonition of his mother's death. I wonder if seeing the future is a Titan thing. Maybe that's why Eren spares Annie in the last episode. He sees himself reflected through her tears. They're one and the same, and he realizes she knows things he doesn't. Perhaps she regrets what she's done, what she's felt she had to do, but saw no alternatives.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
Maybe. That's just a part of what it means to be ordinary. To some people it makes you weak. But an ordinary person is all I want to be.
Whoops. There I go again with the speculations. Apparently I just can't help myself. Though this sort of repetition, the way a book ends the season, is always nice to see. Another example can be found with the bread Armin gives Eren. Initially, he doesn't want it, viewing the bread as a handout, proof of his own weakness. He wants to make it on his own. But in the finale,
I believe this latest tragedy has moved us forward by leaps and bounds, sir.
we've also got these geese that appear in the very beginning and end. Overall, this episode brilliantly sets up the anime series that follows it. It's dark and brutal. The characters are complex, plagued by warring desires. They have little hope of pushing back the Titans, and that doesn't change by the end of the season. Nearly every battle concludes in defeat, with even their victories tempered by losses. And while all of this may make for a rather tense, stressful watch, too intense for some, it also gives the characters a level of humanity often overlooked in other series. It keeps you on the edge of your seat, trying to guess where things are going. It genuinely feels like humanity might not survive, and that would be quite the bold ending. Anyway, these are just some of my thoughts on this show. Feel free to civilly discuss Attack on Titan down below, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.